September 1683, the city of Vienna, heart of the Holy Roman Empire, was surrounded. 150,000 Ottoman soldiers, the largest army Europe had ever seen, were ready to bring the city to its knees. Inside the city walls, hungry, desperate, and out of gunpowder, the fall of Vienna would have opened the gates of Europe to the Ottoman Empire. But then, out of the morning mist, came the thunder of hooves. The Winged Hussars had arrived. To understand why 1683 mattered so much, we have to go back a bit. The Ottoman Empire had been Europe's unstoppable juggernaut for centuries, conquering Constantinople in 1453, dominating the Balkans, and pushing deep into Central Europe. Vienna had already been besieged once, in 1529. The Ottomans failed then, but only barely. Now, 150 years later, they were back for round two. Their leader? Grand Vizier Kara Mustafa Pasha, a man with ambition and a large mustache. His goal: take Vienna and bring the Islamic Crescent deep into the heart of Europe. In July 1683, the Ottoman army surrounded Vienna. 150,000 men, dozens of heavy cannons, and siege engineers who were very good at digging tunnels under walls. Inside the city, Count Ernst Rüdiger von Starhemberg commanded the defenders. They had only 15,000 men, Austrians, Germans, and a few civilians who definitely didn't sign up for this. Day after day, Ottoman cannons pounded the walls. The defenders patched holes with anything they could find. Rubble, wood, even furniture, and the food situation? Let's just say Viennese pastries were not on the menu. Still, they held out, hoping for one thing: relief. Because far away, a massive coalition army was forming: Poland, Austria, Bavaria, Saxony, and at its head, a man known as the Lion of Lechfeld, King Jan Sobieski of Poland. Sobieski's army wasn't the largest, but it had something no one else did: the Winged Hussars, Poland's elite heavy cavalry. These weren't your average horsemen. They wore shining armor, carried long lances, and strapped great wooden wings to their backs. Why use wings? Historians still argue about that. Maybe they made a terrifying noise that spooked enemy horses. Maybe they just looked ridiculously cool. Either way, when the Winged Hussars charged, people noticed. They were disciplined, shock-charge cavalry, the best in Europe, and Sobieski brought 3,000 of them to Vienna. By early September, Sobieski's coalition army, around 70,000 men, had marched across the Danube, through mountains, and onto the hills north of Vienna. The Ottomans didn't see them coming. Kara Mustafa thought Vienna was seconds from collapse. At dawn on September 12th, Sobieski surveyed the battlefield. He knew the city was barely hanging on. It was time. He sent a message to the city's defenders: the relief is here. Hold on. The fighting began early. Austrian and German troops attacked the Ottoman flanks, forcing Kara Mustafa to stretch his lines thin. By the afternoon, the Ottomans were tired, scattered, and unprepared for what came next. From the Kahlenberg Heights, 3,000 Winged Hussars lined up beside thousands of Polish and German cavalry. It was the largest cavalry charge in history. over 18,000 horsemen galloping down the hill. They smashed into the Ottoman ranks like a living avalanche. The Ottomans, exhausted after 2 months of siege, broke instantly. Sobieski himself led the charge, cutting through to Kara Mustafa's command tent. By nightfall, the Ottoman army was in full retreat. Vienna was saved when the smoke cleared. The battlefield was chaos. The Ottomans lost tens of thousands of men. Kara Mustafa fled, but the Sultan wasn't pleased. He was executed soon after, reportedly with the silk cord reserved for disgraced commanders. The victory at Vienna changed everything. It marked the beginning of the Ottoman Empire's long decline in Europe. Vienna would never fall to the Ottomans again, and legend has it, the Viennese found sacks of coffee left behind by the Ottomans, which inspired the first Viennese cafes. So yes, you might say Europe owes its cappuccino to the Siege of Vienna. The Siege of Vienna wasn't just a battle, it was a turning point. A clash of empires, faiths, and cultures that shaped Europe for centuries. And at its heart were the men who charged with wings on their backs and courage in their hearts. The Winged Hussars. If you enjoyed this pixelated dive into history, drop a like and tell us in the comments, what legendary moment should we cover next?